Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Sunday, the sun is out, the weekend is still here. I hope you're having a good one wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. And Arsenal are Emirates Cup winners. We've got that shiny trophy tucked away in the trophy cabinet after that win yesterday against Athletic Club at the Emirates. And what a great win it was. It was a lot of fun. I did speak about it in yesterday's show that I did in the evening, straight after full time. My sort of brief, immediate response to that game. I'm going to look at it more in depth in this morning's show. Look at what Mikel had to say. Said some really interesting stuff actually afterwards. I thought some interesting questions about exactly what we saw from Arsenal, which was definitely interesting in terms of the shape, how they played, how the midfield especially played, how they got the ball out to Bukayo Saka very, very quickly, tried to exploit his space. So we'll look at that in today's show, look at what Mikel had to say, give my thoughts on the game, a couple of other bits and pieces as well to get stuck into. Before we get into all of that, just wanted to flag up for my Inside Arsenal, or actually, if you're not an Inside Arsenal Patreon member yet, thank you to everyone who is. The Inside Arsenal Patreon member Fantasy Premier League will be kicking off at the start of next week, well, the start of next week's weekend's Premier League games. If you want to get involved in that, you need to be a member. There are going to be monthly prizes for Manager of the Month. There's going to be big prizes at the end of the season as well. If you want to get involved in that and have your chance to win those prizes, then you need to become a member and sign up, and then you'll be able to get access to the league and the codes and all that, which are on the Patreon message boards and on the Discord, which you only get access to if you're a member. If you don't want to do that, fine. We'll still have the Inside Arsenal FPL League as well. But if you want to be involved and really have a go at winning all the big prizes that will be on offer, as I said, monthly Manager of the Month prizes and prizes at the end of the season as well, then you need to sign up, become an Inside Arsenal member. You can do that down below in the description. You'll find a link to it. Just copy and paste it into your browser. Go to patreon.com and sign up there. Don't do it through Apple. I always say that. They always try and add their own surcharges to that. So go on, sign up, copy and paste the link, which you can find in the browser below. Go over, sign up, become a member, get access to the FPL League, all the prizes you can potentially win, and plenty more as well. You get all my shows ad-free. You get exclusive extra shows, including the Arsenal Press Pass show, where myself and a couple of other Arsenal journalists discuss on a weekly basis the latest goings on at the club, other bits and pieces as well. So yes, just a little bit of admin at the start of this. Now let's talk about yesterday's game. Arsenal getting their hands on the Emirates Trophy, I think for the 9th time out of 14 now, that is. And it was a really good game. I sat here yesterday morning saying I just wanted to see a good performance, some good open play goals, some good attacking play, just to lift the mood a little bit, to get some momentum ahead of Old Trafford. And basically everything that I wanted, I got yesterday. And you don't often get that when you sit down and watch a football match. So I was really, really happy. As you could have probably told when you watched my video yesterday, there was some really good, encouraging play from Arsenal in that game in an attacking sense. They scored 3 high-quality goals against a good team. And, and this is an Athletic Bilbao team who are going to be in the Champions League next season, who are only a week away from the start of their season. So it was a good team, and Arsenal played very, very well against them. And that was very encouraging, I thought. And we saw some really some pieces. Obviously, Victor Gyökeres sort of stole the show in terms of the headlines because he got his first Arsenal goal, which was always going to be a massive thing. Just to score, any striker wants it. They'll always, if you talk to them and you ask them questions afterwards, like, I don't care, just happy if the team win. I mean, that's frankly a load of rubbish. If you're a big striker, you're all about goals. You want to score and you want to get your first goal for your new club as soon as possible, just so people don't start focusing on that. And he did that yesterday. It was a brilliant goal, great header, fantastic run. Movement was brilliant. Yes, it was a brilliant ball from Zubimendi, who we'll talk about later in the show, because my word, how good was he? There was a brilliant cross in by Zubimendi, but it was Gyökeres' run and his header that made that a brilliant cross, because if he doesn't make that run, then the defender probably clears it. But it was real top quality forward play from Victor Gyökeres and a brilliant goal. Saka scored a second afterwards, was a lovely sort of transition-like goal that we don't often see with Arsenal. We certainly haven't seen with Arsenal for a while. And that was great. There's some good movement. Again, Gyökeres involved, Odegaard involved. Brilliant play from Martinelli. Great run through. Kept his head, picked the right pass. Saka had a tap in, 2-0 at half-time. And it was game over at that point. Second half, when you have these sort of games, I suppose, when a team in a friendly has sort of advantage that Arsenal did, second half always sort of tails off a little bit, especially having so many substitutions. It just makes it all a little bit stop-start. But Kai Havertz, it was a proper sort of cherry on the top type moment with that goal that he scored. And what a brilliant goal he was. I described it to Gareth Bale yesterday. It's like, how on earth has Kai Havertz suddenly turned into Gareth Bale? Now, you all know I'm a massive Kai Havertz fan. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's been great for Arsenal. And it was such a shame he got injured last season. But that was the turn of pace he showed. He started that run sort of deep into his own half. It was brilliant play by Saka, brilliant ball over the top. Havertz's run, the pace that we saw there from him, brilliant. And then the power, the strength to hold off the defender, and then the sort of clinical nature of the finish as well. Brilliant goal. And that's exactly what you want to see. You got Gyökeres scoring, you got Havertz coming on, scoring, both of them driving each other. There was really good options. Madueke played very well yesterday when he came on in the second half as well. When you suddenly look at the options Arsenal have and the strength and depth that they have and the options Mikel Arteta has. And that was really encouraging. It really was. And, Arteta was speaking about it yesterday after the game. And he said, in every position now, we have different quality. A lot of players that can play in various positions as well with a lot of versatility, bringing different kinds of qualities and threats to the team. So we're going to manage that in the best possible way to maintain everybody with the right cohesion, hunger, and the fact that at any moment we can change the puzzle and make it very difficult for the opposition. Very pleased with the performance, the way we played as a team, cohesion, fluidity, dynamism, and the level of threat that we were able to provide throughout the game. A lot of big individual performances as well. I'm very pleased with the result and the clean sheet. Very happy with it. Oh, and he should be. He'll be delighted with that performance yesterday. It was exactly what he would have wanted. As I said, it's what we all wanted. And it just gives that team the kind of momentum they needed to go to Old Trafford next week. Because if it had been a disappointing performance yesterday on the back of what had happened against Spurs and Villarreal, things would have felt a little bit flat. Doesn't really feel like that. The mood has certainly changed a little bit. And that can happen, isn't it? It just shows the difference of what a win can do. And obviously the forwards were great. And when you look at the new options that Arteta has available to him, and you look at the way Arsenal played yesterday, I thought it was the most intriguing aspect of the game. I mean, Gyökeres in that first half when he started, clearly the team is still getting used to him. He's having to get used to the team as well. I mentioned this in the video after yesterday's game where all the focus has been on Arsenal have to get used to Gyökeres. And they do, of course they do. But Gyökeres has to get used to Arsenal as well. And he has to get used to how teams play against Arsenal. Because in Portugal, he's been used to being able to run into loads of space. We've all seen the clips of his goals. How many of those are sort of running into the channels on the transition, loads of space, going headfirst into the penalty area and scoring. He's not going to get that at Arsenal. So he's going to have to change the way he plays as well and score the types of goals that we saw him score yesterday, which quite frankly made a mockery of the rumour that he can't head the ball because he quite clearly can. We saw that yesterday. He almost scored a brilliant second with that diving header as well, which was a great save from Simon. But the way Arsenal played, how direct they were, I think the thing with Gyökeres, and Mikel mentioned this in his press conference after the game where he talked about the way the team plays and how they can sort of Gyökeres, when they were asked about his strengths, he can pin the two defenders. And he can do that. The two centre-backs are going to be worried about what Gyökeres is doing and they get involved in a battle and he can really sort of drag them closer to him, which Arsenal haven't really had before when it comes to a striker. And when you do that, it means you're taking players out of play. You can't have the centre-back sort of doubling up with the fullback to double up on Bukayo Saka. You saw Arsenal switching the ball. They were so direct, especially in that first half yesterday. How many balls was Declan Rice pinging over very quickly to Bukayo Saka, finding him in space over on the right-hand flank where he could just isolate the defender and have him one-on-one. I thought that was a really interesting aspect of Arsenal's game. Also on the left-hand side, Calafiori playing the way he did with Declan Rice and Zubimendi almost playing as a deeper double pivot, which is completely different to what we've seen from Arsenal. You sort of go back to last season and obviously you had sort of Thomas Partey playing in that holding role and Declan Rice was very much playing as a left eight, very high up the pitch and it was working. He was doing some good stuff. We didn't see him doing that so much yesterday. He was playing a lot deeper at times. The two of them were working absolutely as a pair, which was a big shift. It's definitely a new way of playing for Arsenal. The two of them were playing as a pair. One of them would go, the other one would sit. And it wasn't just one of them doing that. They were rotating. Zubimendi, how often do we see him high up in the pitch at times? And that was a really interesting dynamic of Arsenal's play as well, because then you had Calafiori almost drip. He wasn't coming in as an inverted fullback. He was almost playing as a left eight at times in that first half because you had the two actual sitting together deeper. And then when Calafiori was coming inside, he was coming inside more in a left eight position and he was causing plenty of problems. And he was also helping out Martinelli then because Martinelli had someone closer to him. It was a very different way of playing from Arsenal, I thought. And I thought that really sort of came across in Arsenal's performance. I just want to bring up, I haven't got it here, so excuse me while I bring this up, but there were some comments made by Mikel in the press conference afterwards, and he talked about the midfield fluidity of Odegaard, Rice, and Zubimendi. And he said, especially with qualities they have, the way they can complement each other in the space. And we saw another evolution today on that, and things that this team can really benefit from to become much more unpredictable and be more of a threat, especially from inside positions. And they were. And I think that was really interesting, was just how Arsenal were playing. And when you've got Rice and Zubimendi doing that, and then you've got Calafiori drifting inside. You've got kind of a bit of a partnership going with Martinelli for once, who's normally left isolated. There was just different ways of playing, and that was what you wanted to see. And I know there was a lot of complaints after the Newcastle game, or certainly after the Villarreal and Spurs games, of this is very, very similar. And it was, because I saw bits and pieces of those games, and it did feel very familiar. Didn't feel familiar yesterday. It felt different yesterday. There was definitely a tactical shift from Arsenal. And that's really, really positive, I think, because you need different ways of playing. And Mikel talks about unpredictability there, and that is very, very important, because I think Arsenal did slip back into being a little bit more predictable last season. He also talked about people on the bench. He said, we have people on the bench, and I think today we have situations and a lot of feeling that any moment in the attack, we can attack the back, and we can be very dangerous. We'll create lots of spaces for other players inside. And, you saw that with the Gyökeres and the Havertz, sort of Havertz coming on and doing what he did. That's just what you want, because you want these two playing and sort of driving each other on, which we haven't really had when it comes to strikers at Arsenal so far, certainly under Mikel Arteta. And if you've got two players who can really drive each other on, can compete for that spot, can push each other on, is really, really important, I think. And Mikel said that they can play together. Kai can play in different positions as well. I think that elevates the quality of the squad, the goal threat that we have in the team, the options we have to change and provide opposition with a lot of problems. It is great to see them both scoring, both of them in such good form, and it's a good problem to have. And it is a good problem. But when he talks there about they can both play in the team together, I think that's quite an intriguing thing about Arsenal next season as well, is if you do play them either as a pair, as a forward, which I doubt. I think Gyökeres will play as a 9 and Havertz will play in a deeper role, but it'll be, box crashing and trying to get on the end of things. And that is another option Arsenal can have to change things, to become more unpredictable in a game. If the game's not going your way in the second half, and you've got Havertz on the bench, or you've got Gyökeres on the bench, whoever it is, and you can put them both on, and you can give teams other things to think about. Whereas last season, again, you couldn't really do that. And that's really positive, I think. It's great for Gyökeres. Of course it was. Mikel said the first goal is always important. The way he took it was really well. He said it's his nature, his desire to score. He thinks everything he does, his movement, the way he times his runs, the way he predicts the next move and where the space is going to be and where the ball is going to land. That's the instinct he has. That's why he scored so many goals in the last few seasons. It's not a coincidence. It's his ability, and he's constantly looking for it. When asked what he's going to add to the squad, he says goals, his threat. He can pin both centre-backs. This is what I was talking about earlier. He's a player that when you're living with a space, one against one, he's going to destroy you, and he's going to create a lot of space as well for us. And that's really important, isn't it? Having a striker who drags defenders away, who can create space for Saka, for Martinelli, for Odegaard a bit deeper, for Havertz if he's on the pitch. So, yeah, positive signs. I'm feeling very good about Arsenal right now. And it was great to see Gyökeres doing that for the first time so far. Hopefully we're going to see that celebration plenty more times before now and the end of the season. Right, I'm nearly 15 minutes in, and I haven't talked about Martin Zubimendi yet, which is pretty criminal, to be fair, because that was a monstrous performance yesterday from Zubimendi. Yes, it's pre-season. Yes, it's against a Spanish team where he knows how they play, all that sort of stuff. I get it. So you have to sort of temper your excitement a little bit. But that was a top quality performance from Zubimendi. A type of performance as well. Each time I see him, I'm seeing more, excuse me, more to his game than I thought he had. I knew he was a good player. I knew he was a great defensive screen. I knew he was great at progressing the ball forward. But we saw him yesterday in those attacking areas, going forward, letting Declan Rice stay deep. He was going in and around the penalty. And there was one point in the second half when he was right basically on the edge of the 6-yard box, bringing the ball down, doing a little back heel to Havertz to set up a really good chance. He was all over that pitch. his ability to win the ball back under pressure and then immediately get the game going forward. There was another one in the second half when he did that deep inside his own half, one possession, great ball recovery, and then immediately pinged a first-time ball out to Saka to send him away, almost getting him in one-on-one. Absolute top quality performance. I was excited about a lot of what I saw yesterday. Madueke's performance, Mosquera coming on, looking really, really solid again in the second half. So there was lots to like, lots to be encouraged by. Gyökeres, Havertz, Saka looking so sharp. But Zubimendi's performance in the heart of that midfield, I think we all knew that we've signed a really, really top quality player. You don't get chased by the types of clubs who have been chasing Zubimendi if you're not a top quality player. But very, very excited about what he's going to bring and how he's going to change the dynamic of this Arsenal team and this midfield. We've already seen it slightly in a bit of a shift in a tactical system that we saw yesterday. But I just think he's going to get that midfield working faster, which again, when you look at Arsenal's issues last season, that ball progression, how quickly it came from midfield into the final third, it was just slow at times. I think that impacted Arsenal's speed of game. And if you've got Zubimendi doing what he did yesterday, doing it on a regular basis, then the team is just going to move faster, move forward quicker. And that's really positive. So that was a fantastic performance from Zubimendi yesterday. Really, really thought he was excellent. Here's what some of you guys are having to say after the game. That guy Norm says, the biggest positive for me is how much more centrally Odegaard played. I really hope that'll be a feature going forward because he's usually over on the right. Tambo says, Zubimendi is such a baller, completely transformed the attack and the team. So good. Flicky Flax has enjoyed seeing Rice, Zubimendi, Odegaard, Rice, all switching positions. Very interesting to see how that dynamic will play out this season. Amit said, just the performance we needed before the Premier League starts. The squad depth we have is just perfect and really going to help us this season. Jay Billings says, call me crazy, but I think Havertz would be better in the left 8 role than Rice with Gyökeres up top. We will face a lot of low blocks, and I see Havertz supporting the box, inside the box better than Rice. But that's an option, isn't it? That's what I'm saying, Jay Bling, that we do have those options now to completely change things. If Arteta sees that, if he looks at it and thinks, you know what, we don't need Zubimendi and Rice together. Let's play one of them and then put Havertz up closer to Gyökeres. He's got the options to do that. And that's really, really important and really encouraging. I just love that strength of depth. You looked at Arsenal's bench yesterday, and I know it's the start of the season. Injuries haven't started to hit yet and all that sort of stuff. But you looked at Arsenal's bench yesterday, and it's very, very solid. It's really good. The options are there, and that's really, really positive. And again, you look at those people who came off the bench, especially Madueke. I don't think Madueke will start next week at Old Trafford. I think Martinelli will start. I don't think Martinelli played badly yesterday, by the way. I thought there were some good things. There were some frustrating things again with him, but there were some good things. Did very well for the second goal. And I think he'll start at Old Trafford. But Madueke's got a real opportunity there on the left-hand side. I really do think that. And I think he'll really fancy his chances of getting himself into the team. And he showed yesterday the sort of threat he can provide over there. And he's very, very different to what Arsenal currently have in that left-sided option. And again, it's just more options for Arteta to be able to change the game. Right, just on transfers, Mikel was asked about the possibility of more transfer activity in his presser yesterday. He said, let's see what happens in terms of where the squad is in the next few weeks. We are actively looking at options as well. There are a few players maybe that will have to leave as well. So we'll be open to see what happens. Again, they kind of all feel very intertwined. Sorry, I got come back from Portugal with a cold and my throat's really struggling at the moment. I think where he talks about there, again, there's people going to have to leave. That is kind of important now. We're in that stage of the window where a lot of the business has been done. They're very happy with their business, but they do need to shift some players on. Fabio Vieira, Reece Nelson. I'm missing some people there. Sambi Lokonga, those sort of players, they need to try and do that. We know that Stuttgart are looking at Fabio Vieira. Stuttgart have just sold a player who plays in Fabio Vieira's position for good money, about 30 million, I think, to Saudi Arabia. So they're going to be looking for a replacement. We'll see if that sort of accelerates things with Fabio, who has been training but not been involved in the game yet. Obviously, on his way out, Arsenal looking to get a deal done for him very, very soon. Reece Nelson to Fulham. Of course, that's an ongoing situation at the moment. If Arsenal can do that, they can bring some money in, then we might get to the activity that Arteta is talking about there. Andrew's got in touch on the Discord chat. Says, I'm a little confused at the moment. Just listened to Tom Canton's morning show where he stated Arsenal's intentions or interest in as they have cooled and it is unlikely to happen. Sammy was on Sophie's Hybrid Squad show. Sil says it's a possibility, definite interest from Arsenal. Where does Eze fit in? if not a 10, can he be utilised somewhere else? I wonder if this deal was a definite no. I wouldn't sit here and say it's a definite no, and I don't think Tom was saying that in his show yesterday either. You know, the interest is there in Eze, but at the moment it is kind of interlinked with if players are going to go. The fact that Ethan signed his new contract has certainly lessened Arsenal's. I think if Ethan had gone this window, and there was certainly a feeling that there was, you know, earlier on in the window that might have to happen if a contract wasn't agreed. If that had happened, then I think Arsenal would have absolutely pressed forward for someone like Eze in that situation. Ethan staying has lessened that a bit, but that's not saying that Eze's off the table or anything. But I would expect that if Arsenal are going to sign Eze, and I really hope they do, you all know that if Arsenal are going to sign Eze, I do think that some sales would need to happen to facilitate that. And even then, I wouldn't say it's a foregone conclusion that it's going to happen either. So, you know, I think Tom is right that the signing of Ethan has cooled Arsenal's, not sort of cooled Arsenal's interest, but it's just made it not so important in their eyes, you know, not because Ethan is still there. But their interest, the interest is still there. That hasn't gone away, obviously. But yeah, I think, as I said, player sales at the moment are sort of front and centre when it comes to Arsenal and the transfer window. And if they can get some of those over the line, then maybe they do dip back into the market and look to bring in that one last piece of the jigsaw that I think is really, really important and would be a game changer for this squad, or another game changer for this squad. And that's it from me, everyone. Apologies for the voice. I hope it was okay. But yeah, I've been struggling a little bit since coming back from holiday. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. See you later. Bye-bye.